ladies. Hello, everyone. Welcome on in to our coffee break clarity for today. So, welcome in. I really am unprepared because I went to bed really late last night. And I'm just being honest. But as soon as I got up, I thought about the idea or the word that came to me was humility. Um, and I don't know, I think I might have been talking about this on a different live stream yesterday. But James 4 and 10 in the Tree of Life version says, humble yourselves in the sight of Adonai, and he shall lift you up. I want us to think about, like, a lot of times what could be getting in our way is either false humility or pride. Why you haven't started, why you haven't jumped to move is because you're having a little bit of pride. You're thinking that you should be further along right now. You're thinking that you're too good. As a matter of fact, last night when I was journaling, I was thinking about instances where, and I said, I don't know what came first, but I remember there would be people that I would have conversations with, and I was just being myself, right? And I would, okay, you see, this is why I definitely need my microphones, because I live on a busy street, y'all. But I was thinking about how, and sometimes a conversation, like, you could just be being yourself, and then the people who you encounter is literally okay, yeah. The people you encounter, I'm sorry, y'all. The people that you encounter, you're just being being yourself. This is why people stop being themselves, because somebody in their reaction or their disposition before the person is, they're literally prideful. Like, they don't think you measure up to who they are, and so their response to you is like they treat you less than. And you see that people begin to act and begin to put on the facade and the mask because they're trying to now, from that one interaction, and it might not be one interaction, it might have happened over time, but they just found that being themselves wasn't something that actually, being authentic to who they are wasn't something that actually helped, or it didn't get to the goal of, like, what they thought. It was like, I'm just trying to be genuine, I'm just trying to be myself, I'm being sincere, and they judged me. For instance, you're at a networking event and this might be your first time, say just real estate, you're doing real estate, you're at a networking event, but you're brand new, right? And you go have a conversation with someone, and this person has, like, been selling houses 15 years. They're now, selling houses, investing. They have developments and all of those things, right? And you come up and you're like, man, I'm trying to learn, and you're even, like, looking for peers possible peers in the industry, mentorship, stuff like that. And so you're just, sharing all your ideas like, yeah, I see, I have a vision of this development, stuff like that. And I don't know why I'm using real estate as an example, because I don't know anything about real estate. But well, I know a little tiny bit because I used to listen to a real estate podcast, but that's about it. And so, like, you're just sharing all your ideas, and then they're like, okay. And then they just kind of like end the conversation and walk away, and you feel like you then gave all of your like ideas and all of these different things, but they didn't really like have feedback in the conversation. They didn't really say much back to you. And so now it's kind of like it goes, like it pulled you down a little bit. And so now it's like, it actually puts a memory inside of you, right? It puts a memory of that whole experience. And now, let's say 3 years down the line, you've gotten all the things that you need to do, and you've sold, a few houses, you flipped a few houses, you've, renovated, did all the different things. And you're at a same event 3 years later, and somebody comes around and they're like, oh, yeah. And so, of course, like, you might just be like, I remember that person that treated me like that. I'm going to be myself and do these things, and you're pouring into that person, but that person doesn't respect you and your genuine and authenticness, and they instead go to the other person who treated you bad before. And I don't even know why I'm giving this as an example, but it kind of begins to train your brain that you can't be authentic. You can't be yourself, right? It begins to train you that I don't like that. I wasn't well received by the person 3 years ago. Now that I'm doing this and I'm trying to help somebody else new, they don't respect me. They're going out to this other person who was just I don't want to even say bad words, but they just were very mean, right? That's what I say. They're very mean. And so it could begin to tear at you. And one of the things as like believers, if we're in a position, we can't let things make us become bitter like that, because how can we bear fruit? But what it does do is what it makes us, they said, what don't kill me makes me stronger. Well, what it does is it could begin to build something in you, right? To build a different type of strength, a different type of fortitude. Maybe it even puts something inside of you to where you decide that you're going to build a certain type of way. But some people, what ends up happening is that they begin developing pride instead, because, and they don't, this is unknowingly, it just creeps in, right? And they begin developing pride unknowingly, and it just builds and builds and builds and builds and builds. And now they've been doing this for so long, they don't want to change. And not only that, because of this what's happened, because they felt like they took a leap of faith, they went into this new area, this new field, they were themselves, right? But it's just kind of like not working the way that they had hoped. And now they're miserable inside that arena. And I'm not saying it's going to go that way, but just say that they end up becoming miserable because they've been authentic, but they don't like where they are now. They don't like the industry. And I can say this, like, a lot of times this happens in the work, like many 9-to-5s. Like, you've built like a resume and something that you decided you premature. I heard this somewhere last night. I don't even know where I heard this on. But it's like, don't prematurely decide your career before you really know what it is that you want to do. Because what ends up happening is that you step into this, and a lot of times, this just happens because we go to school. They just say, what do you want to go? What field you want to go in? You go to college for that. You get the degree. You start working in it. If you're fortunate to work in the same thing that you studied, but then you get there and you hate it. Like so many people will do that. Like they'll set a career path to become a lawyer, to do something legally, like in legal, and they're like, I hate this job. And so once that person gets there and it's time, like, okay, like you start having a relationship with God, and he's like, you know what? Remember that thing that you really loved when you were 8 years old? I want you to go do that. And you're like, well, I built this career as I'm trying to give an example, as an engineer, right? I built this career as an engineer. I'm doing real estate, but I don't really like the way that people treat me in that arena. I mean, I'm doing okay, but you want me to go and do videos on YouTube? You want me to go do videos on YouTube? Like, that makes no sense. But God is saying, yeah, I want you to go do videos on YouTube. And it's like, why? Why would I do that? I saw the rejection I got when I was just like, oh, I want to go do real estate. Why would I want to go and do videos on YouTube? It's just a whole bunch of people out there. And so it's like those thoughts will start coming. And so you're just thinking like, you know what? That's not something I want to do. God says, well, I want you to start a podcast. You can start a podcast. People are not going to look at you. It's like, why would I do that? I have all of these other things I need to do. I have time to do this, time to do that. And I just don't see it in my schedule. And so it's like you're fighting with God. Remember Moses? Moses did that. Moses was telling God, was like, you know what? Like, what am I going to say to these people? I mean, basically, because he didn't like grow up with him. He didn't grow up with them like that. But he grew up in the palace and all of that stuff. He grew up with Pharaoh's daughter and all of that stuff, right? But he was just like, what am I going to say? I'm not a person who could talk like that. What am I going to say? So Moses like really left the assignment, right? Not left the assignment. He didn't want to do the assignment. He had a lot of pushback, right? Are you giving God pushback? Sometimes we just need to know that God is going to show us and guide us into our next, right? And sometimes we just got to take that tiny step. It don't have to be a whole big old leap of faith. He's not telling you quit your job. He's not telling you, go buy a building tomorrow. He's not telling you to have 1 million subscribers in a month. We have to take the first step, and whatever that tiny step is, we need to move in it. And so I just wanted to share that today. If this is something that helped you, I hope that you subscribe here. I have something called the Pen Plus Presence Workshop for podcasting and starting a podcast. And if that's something that you're interested in, I hope that you could come and join us. Just go to penpluspresence.com and I will hope to see you there as you sign up. We'll be here every Tuesdays and Thursdays for our coffee break clarity. If you have any ideas that you want to go over when it comes to this, let me know in the comment section or on this channel. God bless you, and we will see you next time.